Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Ed Carbajal here for MMAnews.com, here to bring you the 411 on 411. I thought of that one myself. I know WrestleMania is tonight, so I'm going to get to, we got a lot to go over, obviously, with the One Championship live debut on TNT, Bellator 256, and then obviously the UFC on ABC card, or hashtag UFC Vegas 23. So lots to get to. All those results are up at MMAnews.com. So make sure you check out the MMAnews.com website for all your big MMA promotion results. Follow me on Twitter for all of my coverage and live tweets and stuff like that. That's my Twitter handle at Carbazal. And if you like and subscribe to the MMAnews.com YouTube channel, this week we have interviews with Ben Askren's training partner, Mike Biggie Rhodes, UFC newly signed UFC signee Lupita Godinez, or Lupi Godinez, or however you know her. And we actually had an interview with Mackenzie Dern this time last Sunday, just before she fought and won last night, which she predicted her win by submission. Shout out to James Lynch for getting that good interview, because she literally called her shot and said a lot of the stuff she said afterward on the UFC broadcast. So make sure you like and subscribe and click the bell notification for the MMAnews.com YouTube channel, where this video and all those interviews live. So let's get right to it. Mad results to get to. If you go to MMAnews.com, we have them all up there. Again, if you want to drop it in the comments, I don't know if you guys like this view or this view when I bring up the results from the website to read along with you guys. So let me know. I'm going to try this one out just because I don't like looking at my own face that much. But we'll start the week as it came to us, right? One on TNT debut. So I know like WrestleMania is this weekend. Nice lead in from AEW wrestling, but my thing is the real wrestling, because I don't watch WrestleMania. I don't watch WWE. I watch real wrestling on TNT Dynamite. So they Dynamite led into this one on TNT. Shout out to One Championship for doing some outreach to get their name out there to newer MMA fans. They sent out a lot of swag to folks that were already on their radar for social media. So that's how I got this shirt. I bought a rash guard from them too, which is pretty good. I bought that last summer, and oddly enough, they stopped making training stuff. So I would have liked to pick up another one. But anyway, shout out to One Championship for trying to make their moves in the US. They were supposed to do it last year. I don't know if you guys know that. They were talking about doing something in the Garden in New York. But COVID messed that up, like it messed up everything. So if you weren't aware of that, I wrote a piece about it over at SureDog. But let me get to the results. So by now you've already heard about I don't know if they have the images. Well, they have the video, so this is good. They have the video right here. The first fight, I mean, they actually last minute rearranged the card because they knew, for the East Coast fight fans like myself, yours truly, they knew that it was going to start at 10 o'clock p.m., middle of the week. Folks still, even though, if you're lucky enough to still be working or you didn't lose work, you have to go out and make your money. Middle of the week, starting at 10 o'clock is a little bit rough. So they knew the fighters that would be on the US fans' radar, excuse me, would be Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson. So Alvarez opened up the card on the broadcast portion. If you go to, I think it's the BR Live YouTube channel, you can see these fights are there now, as well as I'm pretty sure one has them there as well. But you can see the prelims too. Rugrug, who's kind of like making his way in MMA. All the preliminary fights are there. But this is the fight that had a lot of people talking. I'm going to play this for you, just if you didn't see it. And you can make your own assessment, but I'll give you my thoughts in a minute. And mute that so we don't get no copyright strikes. So you see what happened there. This is a little bit of a shorter clip. It's going to play again. Let it replay. But you see how Eddie Alvarez got there. He gets a takedown. Let me rewind it because this is already taking too long. It starts right when he's already in that position. But he's there and he's blocking and punching behind the ear. But when he turns his head, I mean, Eddie Alvarez can't see what his opponent's doing. And when he turns his head, then he hits him in the back of the head. So just for folks that don't know, I mean, I know there's folks that are going to say, you know, my man's being a baby or whatever, and his opponent, Lapicus. But if you've never been hit hard by a professional fighter, nonetheless, someone that gets paid to punch for a living, if you've never been hit in the back of the head, it is not a good feeling. I mean, even if just doing this to yourself, if you do this to yourself, you're going to notice that your vision gets jarred. And I'm doing it soft. You might have a slight headache, and the back of your neck is going to hurt. So imagine a full force pro fighter hitting you with the intent to finish. Again, unintentional by Alvarez. So if you've never watched Pride, I know probably maybe the bulk of our readers for MMAnews.com are hardcore like UFC fans. So if you have a Fight Pass account, go back and watch Pride because the one does Pride rules sort of, which is why the knee that landed on Demetrius Johnson was legal versus, you know, what happened to Aljamain Sterling in the UFC weeks ago, because there's unified rules, and now an argument came of how we should all follow different rules and what have you. But Eddie Alvarez, the fighter couldn't continue, so I guess that's why they issued the DQ. But it looks like he should have gotten off with a warning. And Eddie Alvarez, I felt really bad for him because he got choked up in his post-fight interview. I mean, listen, I got to be honest, right? I know one sent me all this cool shit or whatever. But, I mean, it was a little bit, I don't want to say unorganized, but like mics weren't working, the interviews. I mean, it looks like for as long as they've been holding events, I don't know if it was nerves or issues with trying to coordinate with TNT. But, I mean, the lackluster, I want to say, overall the event was lackluster. But the one thing it did show with the following result of the fight, as by now, again, you guys probably know that Demetrius Johnson lost to the Adriano Moraes, the one flyweight title champion. And the thing about this whole thing that's happening now in the sport as a whole, we're starting to see these other promotions come up, and it's going to be a hard sell because a lot of MMA fans, especially newer MMA fans and the MMAnews.com readers, you know, you see it's a lot of heavy UFC news. Everyone seems to, because the UFC, they were first, so it rightfully so. They're the big front runner of the sport. But you're starting to see that there's the talent pool is deeper than what the UFC is presenting to you. And you know, Mighty Mouse was, you know, he was the former flyweight champion. He probably would have came back and gotten his title. Don't forget, when he lost the title to Henry Cejudo, it was a split decision loss, and it was the rematch where he beat Henry Cejudo the first time. I was of the opinion that Mighty Mouse might have still taken that away, but you know, so it just goes to show you. And Mighty Mouse, this is his first loss. He's fought a few times there. This was his first loss against Moraes. So we're starting to see that there's a really big talent pool globally in the sport. And if the finding of like Khamzat Chimaev didn't already put that on your radar, because you know no one had heard of him until the UFC went to Abu Dhabi and pulled him up on these short, you know, he was scheduled to fight, but short notice fights, what have you. So Moraes knocked out Demetrius Johnson, who was humble in defeat, and you know, said it best. If you're in the sport long enough, you know, you're event and you get really good, eventually losses are going to come. We see it happen. If you're following the sport long enough, Fedor Emelianenko, you know, guys that were seemed unbeatable, eventually their time's going to come, man. I mean, it's just how the fight games. You see, boxing has been around way longer than MMA, and you've seen great boxers eventually fall. You know, with Mike Tyson, you know, everyone picks up an L after winning for so long. So, you know, it is a young man's game, and nobody gets you know, younger. So short card, it was only 6 fights total. Full results are up on the MMAnews.com website. Umar Kane, that's the gentleman. His nickname is Rugru. That's who I was referring to. That was probably the biggest. They don't have it on here actually. The Muay Thai fight. I guess they only listed the MMA results. So one likes to mix up their presentation, which I like as a fight fan. And they had some Muay Thai fights with in the cage with 4-ounce gloves. Rod Tang, who won his fight, he is eventually going to transition to MMA, and I mean he's got like a crazy record in kickboxing and Muay Thai, and you always hear about world-class strikers in MMA until a real one comes in and steps into fighting. Overall, when they step into MMA from kickboxing or even boxing for that matter, I mean, if we could get a boxer like outside of the women, I mean, because women have already been doing it, making the men look bad. Shout out to Amanda Serrano, Heather Hardy, Anna Hulaton. Trying to think who else. So many women have already transitioned from boxing to MMA and back and forth to show that the difference. If you try to stand up with them, all they do is they focus on defending. Where it's not like UFC 1, where fighters of one discipline were not familiar with other disciplines. Now you're getting folks with a base style, and then they train to kind of adapt to the fights in mixed martial arts, so they can impose their what they're good at. And I wish we would get. I mean, I know we had it with back in the day, but like I'm talking about like a legit run at mixed martial arts from a boxer. It'd be nice to see a male boxer do it, but that was Wednesday night. Moving on, because again, lots to get to because of the 3 events, and we're again this coming week. One is back on TNT on Wednesday. We got another Bellator event Friday and another UFC event Saturday. So expect more of the same on this whole thing. That's the website with all of our ads. So make sure you check out MMAnews.com so we can make a little money over there. All right, Bellator 256. Prelims were both on YouTube, Bellator MMA's YouTube channel and Showtime's YouTube Show Sports YouTube channel. If you missed that, man. Before I even get into that, I got to say, DAZN should take note. You want to co-promote with somebody in the future, look at what Bellator and Showtime are doing together. Showtime Boxing, Show Sports, whatever you want to call it. They had their Saturday night boxing main eventer because they're using the same fight bubble, if you don't know. Excuse me. Anything that's under Showtime Boxing is using the same as using the Mohegan Sun as their fight bubble. I'm pretty sure I wrote something about that at MMAnews.com. So if you click any of my articles, you probably scroll back and see it from last year when they started doing that. So they're using the same safe space, the Fight Sphere, and the co-promoting. This is how, if you want to make a fight fan destination, both boxing and MMA and whatever else you plan on throwing under the banner, they're doing it right. Right now, they're doing it right. DAZN did not do that. DAZN was, in my opinion, never invested into Bellator. They signed this deal and they were kind of like, yeah, here it is. They added like KSW and a couple of other, I think Top FC was some other MMA that they had on DAZN, but you didn't really sell it to get the MMA fan base. Showtime is going all in. They're not putting more focus on one than the other. They seem to be balancing it out perfectly. And you saw that during the Bellator 256 broadcast when they had the boxing headline, one of the boxing headliners come in, and then Saturday night when they did have their event in their doubleheader event in the same venue, they had Bellator 256 Ryan Bader, who advanced in his quarterfinal match against Lyoto Machida for the light heavyweight Grand Prix. They had him on talking about his fight. That's how it's done. I'm all in. I don't know about you, but I really like the way Showtime is doing, and they're doing a deal for 6 months, $4.99 a month for 6 months plus the 30-day free trial. So you get 7 months of some good boxing and MMA. If you're a boxing and MMA fan, I like what Showtime is doing. I think that's well worth their money. I know the Zone is worth it for strictly boxing fans. So for that, I wouldn't take anything away from them, especially with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn wants to be the Dana White of boxing, and he's well on the path to doing it. But anyway, I'm digressing. Bellator 256. I already mentioned Ryan Bader avenged his loss against Lyoto Machida. You know, they fought back in the day in UFC. Machida knocked him out, but, you know, this game is about evolution. First round, Machida definitely landed a lot of strong body kicks. One thing about him coming from Shotokan, you know, with that Shotokan stance, they telegraph what they're going to throw, but Machida is still so fast that he actually landed quite a few strikes to Bader's. He was attacking his liver, but Bader said in the post-fight interview most of them landed on the elbow, so he was all right in the cage when he spoke with McCarthy. And then Kat Zingano got her first round submission in her fight against Olivia Parker. The other two fights were decision. I know people were kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of strong opinions about the co-main event with Liz Carmouche and Vanessa Porto. But I mean, I like Liz Carmouche. If you watch the broadcast, you know, they have because they for the fans in the UK, they have Gareth Davies come on and do some breakdowns, and he mentioned, not a lot of folks remember this. Shout out to Gareth Davies for mentioning it. Liz Carmouche, you know, she was the first person to fight Ronda Rousey when they were bringing women into the UFC, and she almost ruined Ronda Rousey. She took her back, and she had a really bad neck crank on her. If Rousey didn't shake her off because of her, you know, at the time she had better grappling, you know, we wouldn't have seen the Ronda Rousey run that we saw that made women's MMA so popular. So, you know, also she's a former military, so I never put it past Liz Carmouche to pick up a win. And you know, if it has to be by decision, it had to be by decision. But she's definitely, you know, worth watching if you like if you're a deep fight fan, watching intricacies of fighting in MMA. And then oh yeah, we got to talk about the judging. I actually thought it was Doug Crosby. Who was the judge? There was a third judge. Oh, I don't want to mess up the screen and look it up. But there was a judge out there, and not for nothing. I'm not a big fan of John McCarthy's broadcasting skills and his commentary or whatever. But I'm gonna give it to him for calling out what he saw happening, because there was some odd judging that night. There's let me see. There was a split that the Dan Moret versus Goiti Yamauchi was one of them. And where's the other split decision on here as we look? The first fight with John Duma and Will Smith, that was a split decision. So there was two split decisions that made people say like, what the hell's going on here? And it wasn't Doug Crosby. It was actually the other judge. I want to see if I can find it now. I know Bellator tweeted out the scorecard, so I'm looking for. Apologies for the shaky camera. If it's shaking as I type away here. Let's see. Media. I want to find that. Brian Miller. Is this it? Kevin McDonald. Adam Borgs. I believe it was Peter Rogers that was the one that was not Doug Crosby. Even though Doug Crosby's always, every time I hear his name in a decision, I'm always thinking problems are coming. But anyway, during the broadcast, sorry I went a little long there. During the broadcast, McCarthy made mention of it, and he was like, "Why do we keep bringing these guys back here?" And shout out to him for calling out during the broadcast, because, you know, if you're gonna have folks, we always have to have this conversation. It seems when it comes to combat sports overall, never mind just MMA. It happened. I mean, Adelaide Bird. If you know that name, you know why I'm bringing it up, because of the weird judging. Adelaide Bird is the wife of a referee, and I think that's the only reason she's a judge. I forget the Bird referee, but, you know, you wonder half the time, and There's been some other questionable situations with judging, but it's like I the sport's young overall, and I hope we get to a point where there's enough retired fighters or at least folks that are actively still involved in a martial art or something. Like Herb Dean keeps getting criticized lately, and I think maybe he's just overworked, but he used to fight and stuff like that. So he's definitely a referee that I've always trusted and liked. If you go back to his fight when Tim Sylvia versus Frank Mir, he saw the break happen even when Tim Sylvia didn't feel it happen, and I think I mentioned that before. So you need more guys that have been in the have felt the pressure and stuff like that. So like Chris Lieben wants to get into officiating. I think we need more of that to be. We're not going to see better judging until more of that happens. I mean, even McCarthy, who's been a referee, he still has a good eye. He might be annoying and long-winded when he talks, but he still has a good eye, having been in there to see things happening and explain it to folks. And that's why he called out the poor judging. A lot of folks, I think he scored that. He scored the fight for Yamauchi and the other one that was a split decision. What is it? It was with Will Smith. Yeah, and so it was one of it. It's definitely worth mentioning. I know we had a lot of decisions, and it looks like when you see I remember when that fight happened with Moreno Yamauchi and Katzengano got that armbar, I was like, she must have been watching the fights. And if you're sitting in the back and you're even media watching fights, are like, oh man, if these go to decisions, you worry for the fighters that are going to get robbed by poor judging and poor decisions. So Bellator 256, again, 257's this coming Friday. More light heavyweight tournament. I don't know if you checked out the white gloves that they debuted. Bellator was selling them on their website, sold out right away. Like, even I think they were sold out before the fights even happened, because people just wanted some white gloves to train in or have as collector's items. They'll probably make for nice collectible because they're white, so you get a nice black magic marker. Have your favorite fighter sign them. Imagine you get one of those signed by all these competitors. Whoo, that's gonna be worth some money. But anyway, let's move on. Then Saturday night we had the UFC's second event on ABC. UFC on ABC 2 or UFC Vegas 23, however you want to call it. There's so many UFC events. They actually have multiple names for each event. UFC Fight Nights or whatever the hell. It's you lose count, or you lose scope of what to call these events. But I mean, this event, it was on ABC nice and early, so I was a fan of that. Let's bring up the results here on the website. So if you don't know, Kevin Holland stepped in as a late replacement for Darren Till, who broke his collarbone, I think like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before this fight was supposed to happen. So to not waste Marvin Vettori's time, they got Kevin Holland. Whatever your opinion is about Kevin Holland, I got to say is this. The dude, this is the second time he's come in on short notice. And this is why, I mean, I know when he fought Derek Brunson, I talked at length about his talking and what's necessary to brand yourself as a fighter and what have you. So I'm not going to repeat any of that. But the one thing I do have to say, even though he lost, was he looked more serious in this fight. There was moments where he looked like he could have taken it from Vettori. He landed some shots that looked like it shook Vettori. But again, we're starting to see he needs to focus more on takedown defense, wrestling with his he's got a very long frame, a very wiry frame, ectomorph fighter that if he even improved on his submission attempt, he did a nice reversal in round 2 or 3, where Vettori had him against the cage and he rolled back to get back to his feet. But for somebody that took it on short notice, he made it, went all 5 rounds. He took a beating, left eye got cut. And and lost a decision to Vettori. So I think this might be the second time he came on short notice and lost to a very, very good, higher ranked fighter in that weight class by decision. So we'll say what you will about Kevin Holland. He's young. I think they were both 27, right? Or I forget how old Kevin Holland is, but you're going to see more of this kid. I know Dana White, as much as he's not a fan of his talking, he's definitely going to be a fan of how this kid is like, you tap me to come in, I'm coming in. And I mean, we know the history has shown Dana White in the UFC like that. You know, as far if the fighter's willing to do it, I know folks are going to say, you know, you have to worry about fighter health or whatever. But if the fighter's willing to do it, then more power to him. And, you know, I hope to see an improved Kevin Holland in the future. I do like that he recognized the trouble he was in around second or third round, and you didn't. There was not a lot of talking. He wasn't trying to be funny. Wasn't trying to steal any show. He was trying to do things to win, and at range, he was winning. Obviously, so Vettori, you know, went to the Brunson blueprint and just used his wrestling. But I tell you what, man, if he works with, I saw afterward that he's asking for Daniel Cormier to help him train for his wrestling, at least his wrestling takedown defense. And if you look at, if you talk about blueprints, look at Krokop's MMA career. He came from kickboxing. All he did, I think maybe he's a purple belt, blue belt or purple belt, and if you're going to grade him by the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ranking system, but you know, he's got 1 or 2 submission wins. But all he really did was train his sprawls takedown defense so he could impose in striking on his opponents. And he made his whole career on that, retired with that. And it worked, you know, for a long time it worked. Kevin Holland can do that. And that's the right path to accept, like, I need help and take the help from, if Daniel Cormier gives it to him, I hope, which I'm pretty sure Daniel Cormier will. He seems to like helping other folks. And then again, Julian Marquez with the Sam Alvey. I mean, that was a great fight. I think they won a performance of the night bonus. So the performance bonuses are up on MMAnews.com. So, Sam Alvey, Sam Alvey had Julian Marquez in trouble at a couple of times. If there's any gimmick being sold there, Julian Marquez's weird post-fight interviews with every win. You know, you may be a fan, may not be a fan of it, but you know, in the age of social media and where things going viral, you have to have something to kind of help market yourself as a fighter too, on top of winning. So Marquez has got 2 things now. He's got his weird interviews and he's got his victories, and crazy submission at the second round. I think they call it officially a rear naked choke. Some people call it a short choke. Good choke though. It's really like it's almost like a neck crank. The thing that's about Marquez's squeeze, because Sam Alvey was holding the leg, because usually the guy wants to sprawl back and go into him to get the choke like that. So, but Alvey was holding onto the leg, and Marquez was still able to get that squeeze. That goes to show you how strong he is. Talk about submissions. The one before that, Mackenzie Dern got her submission win over Nina Nunes. We been calling her Nina Ansaroff this whole time, but you know, she's the partner, wife of champ Amanda Nunes. She got submitted by Dern, which Dern called for in her interview that she did with us for when she spoke to James Lynch, and she predicted that would happen. I personally, Dern kind of in that interview, Mackenzie Dern kind of hinted at how, you know, being a new mother, just having the baby, that first fight back is going to be rough. Mackenzie Dern lost her first fight back after she had her baby. So she kind of like, there was like a kinship there. You know, Mackenzie Dern's not like somebody that tries to talk trash or anything like that. You know, she's super respectful. And there was a lot of respect shown afterward. They all took pictures together and stuff like that. So, but she predicted that she would get the submission win. But she also kind of felt like, you know, Ansaroff needed to go through her first fight camp and shake off the cobwebs and stuff like that. So, I mean, it sucks that's something that you know, if you give birth, that's kind of might be the thing that happens when you come back from fighting. But if Mackenzie Dern is the one ahead of her in that, look at what she lost that fight, and then she won all these fights after, including this one. So that's probably what's going to happen for Nina Nunes. Got to be careful not to call her answer off, because I was doing that all up until the broadcast happened. So my apologies if I in any of my tweets or whatever like that. But they are a good team, and she's definitely tough. She fought that armbar off, but you get somebody that comes from jiu-jitsu like Mackenzie Dern. You look up her grappling accolades. I mean, if she gets you on the ground, she's going to get the submission she wants. I mean, we saw that with the patience and the setup and everything that she did for that submission. So I'm already out of time here. There's definitely other fights on this card that you want to take a look at. Obviously, the knockout from Jarvis Dano over Jorgen De Castro. I had De Castro picked to win. So goes to show you there's nothing. There's a lot of you can't really predict. You do a lot of MMA math, but anything can happen in the fight game. Da Ung Jung defeated William Knight. Shout out to Da Ung Jung and his team, because one of my old training partners is on his team. Mike On, and who else we got? There was that fight with Matthias Gamrot. That was a great finish. I'm surprised that fight didn't get the love that it should have. And of course, the opening bout of the night with Impa Kasangane submitting Sasha Platnikov by submission, second round choke. I'm a fan of finishes, so this card definitely had a lot of finishes on them. Again, another triple, not really a triple header. I mean, we'll have got Bellator Friday, UFC Saturday, and then Wednesday night another TNT one on TNT event. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely gonna have a lot more content coming your way in the fight business. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. Enjoy WrestleMania if that's your thing. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the MMAnews.com YouTube channel, where this video and all the interviews with fighters of past and upcoming events live. Check out the website, MMAnews.com. You saw all the colorations, and I always bring it up when I do my look backs. And make sure you follow me on Twitter @Carbasil. And you can check out all the garbage I hurl on there. All right, enjoy your Sunday. I'm tapping out. Take care. Stay safe.